classic Hollywood studio system was not completely good or completely bad. It was basically a very successful hostage situation with excellent lighting. Filmmakers gave up a lot of freedom, but in return they got steady work and access to resources most independent filmmakers could only dream about. The studios already had everything needed to make a movie. They had trained crews, professional equipment, sound stages, and people whose entire job was building fake worlds before lunch. A director did not have to beg friends for money or cast his cousin because he owned a decent suit. The studios handled production and distribution and often owned the theater showing the movie. That made the whole process extremely efficient. Workers could finish one film and move straight into the next instead of updating LinkedIn and pretending freelancing was going great. Of course, the studio paid for everything, which meant the studio controlled everything. The director could be assigned a project they did not care about, lose an argument over casting, or watch the budget get cut because an executive suddenly discovered the word economy. Actors and writers were locked into long-term contracts. So becoming a star sometimes meant getting famous enough for everyone to know your name while still needing permission to use it. The production code made things even tighter by deciding what filmmakers could show on screen. Apparently, audiences could survive murder, betrayal, and organized crime, but showing a married couple sharing a bed might destroy the republic. Even with all that control, the studio system did not kill creativity. In some ways, the restrictions forced filmmakers to become more creative. Film historian David Bordwell explains that movies in the 1940s experimented heavily with storytelling. Filmmakers used flashbacks, voiceovers, shifting points of view, and darker psychological stories. Heroes often became morally complicated. Instead of saving the day, some of them looked like they might steal your car and then narrate why it was technically your fault. That is the strange part of the studio system. It could limit a director while also giving that director some of the best tools and crews in the business. Filmmakers did not always get to choose what they made, but once production started, they were surrounded by people who knew exactly what they were doing. It was controlling, frustrating, and occasionally brilliant. The professional equivalent to living with a strict parent who also owns an entire movie studio. The system did not fall apart because of one single event, though. The 1948 Supreme Court case, United States versus Paramount Pictures, was a major turning point because it challenged the studio's control over both filmmaking and the movie theaters. It also ended block booking as it had been practiced. Before that, a theater might have to buy several movies it did not want just to get one good film. It was basically the cable package business model decades before cable existed. Congratulations getting the movie you wanted. Here are 9 pieces of garbage you also paid for. The court decision was part of the problem. Actors and directors were gaining more independence while talent agencies and independent producers gained more power. Audiences were also moving into the suburbs, farther away from downtown theaters. Then television arrived and offered entertainment inside the home, where popcorn was cheaper and pants were optional. By 1960, more than 46 million of America's roughly 53 million occupied homes had a television. At that point, Hollywood was no longer competing with another studio, it was competing with the couch. The biggest takeaway is that Hollywood did not collapse, it reorganized. The studio system was powerful because a few companies controlled almost everything. Unfortunately for those companies, controlling almost everything is also a great way to get the Supreme Court interested in your business. The studios lost some power, filmmakers gained more independence, and Hollywood did what it has always done when facing disaster: change the business model and act like that's been the plan all along.